I'd like to take this occasion to welcome all the assembled guests, both the guests that are assembled in the temple and to those who have assembled online. A very big Haribol, and thank you all very much for attending our program today on this special program for Sri Radhashtami. Now today we're celebrating a very important day that the appearance day of Radharani is actually tomorrow, but it's a very special occasion. Very recently we had Sri Krishna Janmashtami. Now Krishna Janmashtami is sort of the cake of our Vaishnava celebrations. Now after Janmashtami we had the very auspicious occasion of the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada. Now Prabhupada's appearance day is like the icing on that cake. And tomorrow we have the very auspicious appearance of Sri Radharani. And that is like the cherry on the icing on that cake. So it's such a sweet and special day. And I'd like to especially welcome everybody once again. So we're having a very special program today. His Grace Satchitananda Dasa will be giving us a wonderful presentation on Srimati Radharani. And before I hand over to my co-host, Mother Yashika, I'd actually like to make an announcement that tomorrow we have a Harinam at 6 p.m. for Radhashtami. So please, we'd love to welcome all the devotees and guests to come by the temple to join us for the Harinam. And I'd like to give over to Mother Yashika to introduce our guest speaker today, His Grace Satchitananda Das. Very well.
Hi, dear devotees. Once again, welcome to our Sunday Feast program. His Grace Satchitananda Prabhuji is the disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and he's been a part of ISKCON for over 30 years. He's performed various services including Pujari Seva, Sunday Feast cooking, as well as teaching Kirtan to Sunday school children. And he's been invited to speak on spiritual subject matters and has conducted many preaching tours, delivering various lectures at ISKCON centers all over the world. And presently, he's the council member of ISKCON Niagara Falls and is also dedicated to sharing Srila Prabhupada's teachings and glory. So I'd like to welcome His Grace Satchitananda Prabhuji and hand it over to him. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. So thank you very much, ISKCON Ottawa, for giving this opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada's movement, and especially on a very auspicious occasion of Sri Radhashtami. So I would like to start first with a couple bhajans, especially those that have been composed by the two most exalted personalities in our Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And then a little bit of Kirtan, and we will then try and such an exalted subject matter, which is actually beyond my scope, but I seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas. And thank you once again. My best wishes for Radhashtami to the Ottawa ISKCON congregation, to all the devotees and all the listeners. Hare Krishna. So the bhajans will be displayed on the screen, so you can follow the translation as well. But first we will do some Mangalacharan before that. So Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश कारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे राधिका शरद इंदु निंदिमुख मंडली कुंटले विचित्रवेणी चंपपुष्प शोभनी राधिका शरद इंदु निंदिमुख मंडली कुंटले विचित्रवेणी चंपपुष्प शोभनी नीलपट्ट अंगशोभे ताहे आगोगनी वंदिये श्रीपादपद्म वंदिये श्रीपादपद्म वृषभानुनन्दिनी वंदिये श्रीपादपद्म वृषभानुनन्दिनी तरुण अरुणाजिनी सिंदूरे रमण्डली यैचेयाली मत भरे मलय जगन्धिनी कोटि काम गंजिनी वंदिये श्रीपादपद्म वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी खञ्जना गञ्जानदीति बङ्किमा सुहाचनी अज्ञाना आञ्जना रञ्जीतताहे कामसार सन्धिनी नासवेश सुलोलनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी भक्तविश्वफलजिनी आधार सुरङ्गिनी दशनादादिश बीज चीनी अति शोभनी वसंत कोकिलजिनी सुमधुर बोलनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी कणकमुकुरजिनी गण्डयुग शोभनी रतन मञ्जीरपाये मातरा जडोलनी केसर मुकुट हार उरुपर झोलनी वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिनी साजने वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिने वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिने वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिने गज हरिजिने माजा गुरुया निपस्विनी तापर शोभिते हे भाल कणकेरा किंकिनी कणकयुलतरंभा जानुयुग शोभने वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिने 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 हंसराज गति जिनि सुमंत्र चलने रातुल चरणे हे राजे कणाया सुपंजिने युगल चरणे शोभे यावक सुरंजिने वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिने वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिने वन्दिये श्रीपादपद्मा वृषभानुनन्दिने So another wonderful, heartfelt outpouring of our Gaudiya Acharyas in Sanskrit, Radhe Jai Jai Madhav Daiti by Srila Rup Goswami. It's from his composition called Stav Mala. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Haribo Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishakuta Vrindavi Pineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Haribo Vrishabhanu Dadi Navasashi Leke Lalita Sakhi Guna Ramita Vishake Purana Kurumai Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Varanita Charite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Karuna Kurumai Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Varanita Charite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Jayo Shri Radhe. Jayo Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Jayo Shri Radhe. Jayo Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Jayo Shri Radhe. Jayo Radha Raman, Radha Raman, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Jayo Shri Radhe. Jayo Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Jayo Shri Radhe. Jayo Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Jayo Shri Radhe. Jayo Radha Shyama Sundar, Radha Shyama Sundar, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Jayo Shri Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Jaya Lalita Vishakha, Radhe Shyam. Jaya Lalita Vishakha, Radhe Shyam. Jaya Lalita Vishakha, Radhe Shyam. Jaya Gaurani Tai, Jaya Gaurani Tai, Jaya Gaurani Tai, Jaya Gaurani Tai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Guru Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajesh Tanayas Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Taya Kalpita Srimat Bhagavata Puranayamalam Prema Puma Thomaha Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Mataidam Nayatrayagra Paraha Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha Vanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Srila Prabhupada Jai Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya Acharya Guruvar ki Jai Radhashtami Maha Mahotsav ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Once again, welcome everyone to the Iskcon Ottawa Radhashtami festival, and at the same time, I am a servant of the Bhagavad Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group and the Bhagavatwani group. So we kind of have a joint session. Very special greetings for this Radhashtami. And may Radharani, who is none other than Bhakti Devi, bless us for towards pure devotion. So in regards to Radhashtami, what can I say? You know, I am indeed not so qualified on the subject matter, but I will try my best with the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, his sincere followers, and our Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Acharyas. I'm seeking the blessings and seeking the blessings of all the Vaishnavas who are present. So in regards to Radhashtami, we have actually, it is tomorrow, the actual day is tomorrow, but we are celebrating today. Generally, Janmashtami, as Prabhuji mentioned earlier, is celebrated for 3 days over the weekend. And similarly, we take advantage of such wonderful festivities that help us advance in our spiritual lives. So we seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas present. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So Radharani actually appeared exactly 2 weeks after the appearance of Lord Krishna on the 8th day of the waning moon, known as the Ashtami. And when Krishna comes, he doesn't come in every Dwapar. He comes in the one day of Lord Brahma, which is, I believe, 12 million solar years. Each and every incarnation of the Supreme Lord and their consorts, they come like clockwork in the 4 yugas, in the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga. But it's not that in every Dwapar, Lord Krishna and his intimate associates appear. And following the appearance of that Dwapar Yuga of Lord Krishna, immediately after that, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appears in that next Kali Yuga. We are very fortunate, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this particular Kali Yuga is the golden Kali Yuga because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this Kali Yuga. And we have to wait another several millions of years before we can actually see the advent of Krishna, his intimate associates like Srimati Radharani and the entire entourage in Raj Mandal, and of course Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So again, we are very fortunate, and especially very fortunate to be, at the lotus feet and taking shade of the lotus feet of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and his sincere followers. So the conditions that Radharani had actually put when Krishna decided to make his appearance in one of the Dwapar Yugas in the beginning, since time immemorial, her condition was that there are 3 conditions I have. I will accompany you, O Nandanandan, if these 3 conditions are fulfilled. What are they? Well, you have to manifest Golok Dham, meaning Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan, on Bhaumya Vrindavan, on the earthly planet. You have to manifest Govardhan, and also Yamunaji, river Jamuna has to manifest. If these 3 conditions are met, then I will certainly accompany you. Radharani made this condition to Nandanandan, Yashodanandan Krishna. And Krishna says, indeed, Radha, I love you so much. Whatever you say, indeed, your desire will be fulfilled. So Krishna was actually, it is mentioned in one of the Gaudiya scriptures that when he was in Vamshivat, Vamshivat is that place where Krishna plays the flute. When we Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamshivatastitaha Karshane Swanar Venur Gopi Shri Gopinathaya Shri Astuna. When Gopinath means the master of the gopis. But also Gopinath, our Gaudiya Acharyas have explained there is another meaning. Gopinath also means the gopis are the masters. Because the gopis, they can make Krishna dance as they wish. And especially the special gopi known as Radharani. She can make Krishna dance, she can make Krishna sweat, she can make Krishna shiver, she can make Krishna do whatever she wants. So in Vamshivat, it is said in one of the versions that Krishna was not so happy or in bliss because he wanted to perform his loving pastimes and he was alone. So at that time he played his flute. Shriman Rasa Rasarambi. He began the Ras Leela, and prior to that, he actually played his flute, calling all the gopis. And at that time, Srimati Radharani, along with many other of her associates, the gopis, etc., they also appeared. She appeared on his left side. Also, if we learn from scriptures like Chaitanya Charitamrita, from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Krishna Samhita, and many other Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures, that Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, he first expanded himself simultaneously on his left as his Haladini Shakti. The word Allad means joy, bliss, or happiness. We just heard the wonderful prayers or the Aarti of Narsingadev, and we sing this Namaste Narsingaya Prahlad Allad Daine. So Prahlad Allad, what does Allad mean? One who gives joy. Narsingadev Bhagwan gives joy. The word Allad in Sanskrit means joy. So Alladini Shakti means that Shakti or that power that gives the utmost bliss to Krishna. And Prahlad, by the way, means Prakrishta Rupena Allad iti Prahlad. Allah, again, the name Allah is found in the name of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad, Prakrishta means extremely, and Allah means joy. One who is in extreme joy he is known, this particular devotee is known as Prahlad, because a devotee is never morose. Devotee is always happy, always blissful in Krishna's seva, thinking, remembering, serving Krishna, performing all the different limbs of bhakti. So, of course, Vaishnava is only time we find a pure Vaishnava unhappy or morose is because when he sees the suffering of others. And that is the quality of Srimati Radharani as well. Because she is the actual speaking, she is the topmost guru. She is even the guru of Sri Krishna. When we read some of the Rasik Vaishnava books from Rup Goswami and many other commentaries of Jiva Goswami and also Sanatan Goswami, etc., Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad, as Prabodhananda Saraswati, etc., we find that Radharani's position is extremely revered, not only by the entire creation, but also Sri Krishna himself. So when Krishna played the flute in Vamsivat, she ran to him with great pleasure. And therefore, then one of the meanings of the word Radha means, Ra means Anuraga. It is because Sanskrit has got abbreviations for many words. And one of the abbreviations of Anurag or Anuragi is Ra. And the meaning one, Anurag means, or Anuragi, when it is a female personality, means one who has got very deep loving attachment. And Dha, Ra and Dha means Dhavati. Dhavati means she came running. Dhavyati iti Dha. So that is why she is known as Radha. With such great eagerness, she immediately left everything, and upon hearing Krishna's flute, she immediately appeared on his left side. So the left side is known as the Bamya Bhav, and the right side is known as the Dakshin Bhav. And we will try to touch upon a few subject matters. Generally, we would not be going into such rasic details, if I may say that, on some ordinary but occasions, but this occasion calls for it, where we are none other than the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, and we all are trying to advance, and our advancement depends on the mercy of Srila Prabhupada in our ISKCON movement and his sincere followers. And of course, the mercy flows directly from Golok Vrindavan, which is known as the Avaroha Pantha. Avaroha Pantha means the descending order. And in the descending order, the mercy, as far as we are concerned in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas and the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, first flows directly from Radha Krishna through Lord Nityananda, and then it comes down to all our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas who are transparent via mediums of Krishna Prem, of Radha Dasyam. So in terms of the appearance, about 3 or 4 kilometers far from the little town of Gokul in Vraj, there is even much more a smaller town known as Raval. Radharani appeared in a very small town known as Raval. King Vrishabhanu was settled there with his wife Kirtida Mata or Kirtida Devi. And one time, actually it is said that King Vrishabhanu and Kirtida Devi, they were in the past lives. King Vrishabhanu was Suchandra, King Suchandra, and Kalavati was Kirtida Mata. And Kalavati was one of the daughters of Daksha Prajapati. So they were married, and due to their immense pious deeds and their pure bhakti, the internal potency of Krishna, the Haladini Shakti, decided to make them the parents. And one time when King Vrishabhanu was taking a bath in the Jamuna, at that time in the middle, while he was offering his oblations to the river Jamuna, and we saw a beautiful 1,000-petal lotus floating, and and it kept on floating, and it came towards him, and he saw a beautiful baby girl actually sucking her thumb. Something similar to what Krishna does in the beginning of creation. There is a very nice verse in the Vedas. Kararavinde, Mukharavinde, Padaravinde, Viniveshyantam, Vatasya Patra Sapude Shayanam Balam Mukundam Manasa Smarami. So Vyasdev writes that in the beginning, at the end of the Mahapralay devastation, Krishna is found to be floating on a what leaf, on a huge leaf, on a what is almost like a banyan tree. And Krishna baby is so small that Vyasdev wanted the darshan. So that darshan was given to him, and he is floating on this ocean of devastation. And what is he doing? He is in joy and bliss, and he is sucking his thumb. Bal Gopal Krishna, his toe, basically, not the thumb, but the toe. Similarly, that's what King Vrishabhanu observed, that this little baby, beautiful golden complexion girl was actually sucking her toe and moving her hands and legs. And seeing her, he immediately picked her up and took her in her arms and brought her to his wife, Kirtida. Now, it is to be noted that the name of the mother of Srimati Radharani is Kirtida, and the name of Krishna's mother is Yashoda, and they mean almost the same, or they mean the same thing. Yash means fame, and Da means one who can give fame. So some of the Vatsalya Ras devotees, especially in the Vallabh Sampradaya or the Pushti Marg, who are majority, they are in the Vatsalya Ras or the parental love. So they definitely have a lot of prema for Nanda Maharaj, for Nandaraiji. They call him Nandaraiji and Yashoda Rani. So they say that Krishna is famous because of Yashoda. They say, some of the Rasik Vaishnavas, because that yash or fame was given by Yashoda. Similarly, if we analyze the word Kirtida, Kirti also means fame. Kirti, and Da means one who gives. So the Radharani is famous because of she is also known as Kirtida Sundari. Like in the famous bhajan that we sing of Krishna Das, Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan. And that Krishnadas says that Jaya Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya, Jaya Kirtida Sundari. All glories to King Vrishabhanu and all glories to the beautiful daughter of Kirtida. So when he brought her home, this girl would not open her eyes. And they did not have a daughter actually. They had a son, King Vrishabhanu and Mother Kirtida. They had a son, and that son was Sridham. So, but they did not have a daughter, and they were so overjoyed. But their joy was a little bit dampened because they found that the girl would not open her eyes. She would not open her eyes at all. And that was a setback for the feelings, thinking, when will my daughter open their eyes? In the meantime, Naradji arrived in Raval. Of course, Naradji is that transcendental spaceman, as Srila Prabhupada calls him. And he knew that because the Shaktiman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead from Golok Vrindavan had descended, he appeared in Gokul, then definitely the Shakti should have, or the Swarup Shakti, the Shaktiman has appeared, so the Swarup Shakti cannot live without the Shaktiman. So she would have appeared also. So he arrived in Raval, and then he asked King Vrishabhanu about the well-being of his kingdom, about the well-being of his family. And he asked him, King Vrishabhanu, how are your children? You have children, right? So King Vrishabhanu, yes, I have a boy. His name is Sridham. But what about any girls? So then King Vrishabhanu kind of, sadly said, yes, I have a beautiful girl, but, she cannot open her eyes. So then Naradji said that I want to take darshan of your little daughter. Would you please? So King Vrishabhanu led Naradji into the inner chambers where the little baby Radharani was in the cradle. And as soon as King Vrishabhanu left Naradji alone with the Swarup Shakti of Sri Krishna, he, as the doors closed, immediately, because he is a pure devotee, Srimati Radharani displayed her Kishori form. Kishori form means Radharani in her most youth. And that is the form that we Gaudiya Vaishnavas worship. Radha and Krishna in their youthful form. They are called Kishor Kishori. Even when we go to Vraj, many of the Vrajvasis, there's a famous song, Kishori tere charanan ki raj paun, बैठी रहूं कुंजन के कोने, श्याम राधी का गाओ, किशोरी तेरे चरणन की रज पाऊं. So this is a Gaudiya Vaishnava highest sentiment, that I would like to obtain your service, O Radharani, O Kishori. In which form? In your youthful state, O Radharani. Kishor Kishori. I served the Iskcon temple in Chicago for almost 28 years and served. I was very fortunate. Srila Prabhupada called those deities Kishor Kishori. And these are perhaps the only deities in the entire movement where Krishna's name comes first. Usually it is Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Ras Bihari, Radha Gopinath, but Kishor Kishori. So that bhav is amazing, and we should, being in this Mahaprabhu's movement, we have to actually very much deeply try to understand who we are. What is our, just like a doctor, when he takes admission into, not a doctor, but a medical student, when he takes admission into a medical school, then he knows that this medical school is a specialty general physician, and then after that, he can further specialize into, let's say, cardiology or pulmonology or oncology or etc. So we are so fortunate that we are in this school or this college by the mercy of His divine grace, that we have been given entrance to study right from kindergarten all the way until we further graduate. When we get into the final stage, which is described in 3 stages: the Sambandha, the Abhidya, and the Prayojan. Sambandha means first the relationship. Who are we and what is our relationship with Krishna? So that is sadhana bhakti. And when we do perform our sadhana bhakti perfectly, then the doors open to not only the doors open, but further we undergrad, grad, and then post-grad into our sadhana bhakti to a higher level, which is known as the process, known as the Abhidya. And then the ultimate result of Abhidya is that what is it going to be? Are we going to be going to Vaikuntha? Are we going to go to Golok Vrindavan? Yes. Or are we going to be appearing again here? No matter where we are, especially our mood will be of Vraj Bhav. It will not be of Vaikuntha Bhav. And even if we have to appear again according to the will of Radharani and Krishna, just like Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our entire Gaudiya Parampara, they all came from Golok Vrindavan. Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale. They are Preshtha. Even in Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, these words are used, and even in our AC Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. So Presthaya Bhutale, they came from Golok Vrindavan, and because it was the will of Radharani and Krishna, they came for a particular service for people like us. Ashya Prapanche Jivera Karane Leela Koile Shubhistar. The Krishna and Krishna's pure devotees come simply to deliver the fallen souls, and so that we can get the highest prema, especially because of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So our goal in our Gaudiya Sampradaya is actually Radha Dasyam. Of course, when we are Krishna Dasyam, naturally Radharani is pleased. But Radha Dasyam is the ultimate goal of all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So at that time, when Naradji saw the Kishor Kishori form, along with that Radharani, actually she also showed the Kishori forms or the youthful forms of Lalita, Vishakha, and her entire Priya Narma Sakhis, and her and her Madhurya Bhav. And Naradji was actually at that time initiated by Radharani into the Naradiya Gopi. Yes, this information is given, and therefore Naradji is eternally present. Even he is present eternally, especially at Kusum Sarovar as Naradiya Gopi. And so like this, so Naradji got that wonderful Kishori form in King Vrishabhanu's home in Raval. So sometimes people say that Radharani actually appeared in Barsana. So it is a sentiment, but according to the scriptures, it is mentioned that her, because King Vrishabhanu was a very close friend of Nanda Maharaj, and Nanda Maharaj was settled in Gokul at that time, and friends cannot stay far. Friends are really very close. So that's why he decided to stay close to Gokul, about 3 or 4 kilometers away in Raval. But later on, due to the different circumstances and the different demons coming in and trying to kill Krishna, then Nanda Maharaj thought that it would be safer to move from Gokul, and then he decided to go on a hill, which is Nandagram. And then King Vrishabhanu, he could not stay without his good friend Nanda Maharaj. So he decided to move to the other hill across, the Shiv Parvat, or the Lord Shiva's was where Nandagram is situated, and where Lord Brahma's Parvat, or Lord Brahma's hill across, not too far, is where Barsana is situated. So we always, that's where Radharani spent quite a bit of her younger days in Barsana, and that is the reason why Barsana is very popular. The word, that is why we sing Radhe Radhe Barsane Wali Radhe. The word Barsana means, there is actually a Rasic meaning. Barsana means to shower, to shower. So what is showered in Barsana? It's the mercy of Srimati Radharani. It's the mercy of Kirtida Mata and Vrishabhanu King. It's the mercy of all those Vrajvasis settled in Barsana. So that is why it is Barsana, one of the meanings of Barsana. It is said that Srimati Radharani, when Radharani was a little bit older, and when Kirtida Mata was able to travel normally, they decided to go meet Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai in Gokul. So they went from Raval to Gokul, and then at that time, the Yashoda Ma, Nanda Maharaj, Kirtida Mata, King Vrishabhanu, they were all talking and having a lot of nice friendly conversation. And at that time, Krishna crawled into, Radharani actually managed to get into Krishna's room, and Krishna was lying in the cradle. And when Radharani was kept beside in that cradle, Krishna actually was in another cradle. He climbed out of the cradle and he went on, grabbed Radharani's cradle, and he looked into it, peeked in, and at that time, Radharani opened her eyes, because the first thing that she wanted to see in this world was Krishna. And to the delight of all the parents, that now Radharani had opened their eyes, and this was indeed a great delight for all of them, a lot of joy. Now, that was the history that, and the pastime that most of all us we have known. Raval is a very beautiful town, even today, unspoiled with any the brick and mortar buildings, and it's very simple. When you go there, you will find that there's lots of cows just there, and there are some cowherd boys who are simply taking the cow herding. And then you will see there that the Ladli Lal, they known as, because Ladli is Radharani, in Vraj they call her Ladli, and Lal is Krishna. So Radha and Krishna are established there in that beautiful temple. And if you go on the terrace, if you ask the Mukhiaji or the Pujari, you can see on the terrace that the Yamuna is very far now. Actually, at that time, the course had changed over a period of time. But just outside that, where the location, where the temple is up to that point, the river of Yamuna used to flow. And that's where King Vrishabhanu used to take his bath. And that's where Radharani manifests herself in this world. Now, a few things about our connection and Radharani, our Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya connection. We are actually known as, if we carefully study our books and even Srila Prabhupada's purports, we are actually the servants from the truest sense of known as Radha Dasyam. Our first allegiance is towards Radharani and second towards Krishna. So as we advance in Krishna consciousness, all these things, that interest will come, and when we study the books and the Vaishnav songs, we will realize that. So a Radharani, and we see that, for example, we have the most famous song that everybody has it by heart in ISKCON, that Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More, Tuma Vina Ke Dayalu Jagata Samsare, Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Utar, Mo Sama Patita Prabhu Na Paibe Yar, etc. Haha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi, Kripa Balokana Karo, Ami Boda Dukhi, Daya Karo Sitapati Advaita Gosai, Tava Kripa Bale Pai, Chaitanya Nita. And then Narottam Das Thakur is the author of this bhajan. Now he's calling out not only to the associates of Mahaprabhu, but he's calling out to all the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. Haha Swarup Sanatana, Rupa Raghunath, Bhatta Juga Sri Jivaha, Prabhu Lokanath, Daya Karo Sri Acharya, Prabhu Sri Nivas, Ramachandra Sangamange, Narottam Das. So all those names that he has mentioned has a big, it's a very deep significance. And that shows that they're all in the camp of Srimati Radharani, and they are known as Manjuris. There are two different types of gopis, we can say. One, we all know that the Ashtasakhis, the 8 principal friends of Srimati Radharani, Lalita ji. Actually, yesterday was Lalita Sashti, the 6th day. Sashti is 6th, and Ashtami is tomorrow. So Lalita Devi appeared in Uchchagaon, not too far from Nandagram and Barsana. There is a place called Uchchagaon. So all glories to Lalita Devi. She is one of the principal best friends of Radharani. Vishakha, Chitralekha. And by the way, Vishakha, it is also Vishakha's appearance day today. Yes, Radharani and Vishakha are exactly the same age, both these Sakhis. And therefore, a lot of the qualities of Srimati Radharani are identical in Vishakha Sakhi. And then there are the other Sakhis like Chitralekha, Champak Lata, Tunga Vidya, Indulekha, Rangadevi, and Sudevi. Now, we also find that in the Gaur Ganesh Dipika, that has been composed by Kavi Karnapurna, all the different details are given in terms of, and even in the Govinda Lila Amrit by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, about the different ages and about the Kishori Swarupa of Radharani and Krishna, and the Kishore Swarup of Krishna and the Kishori, or the young Swarup, or the different young gopis that are the most intimate in the inner circle of Radharani. So Radharani, the Kishori Swarup, is exactly 14 years, 2 months and 9 days. So again, it's 14 years to her eternal age in the Kishori form is 14 years, 2 months and 9 days. And Krishna is exactly 15 months and 9 years old. So Krishna is older than Radharani by about a year, a little bit over a year. And there are other Sakhis like Lalita. Lalita Devi is 14 years, 8 months and 27 days. So she is slightly older to Radharani. And Vishakha Sakhi is exactly as Radharani, 14 years, 2 months and 9 days. Now, there is another set of gopis that are even more intimate and a little younger by age. And they are known as Manjuris. And they are extremely dear to Radharani. There are gopis that are there in the Swakiya and they are in the Parkiya. And also the Manjuris, and they are also in the Swakiya Bhav and the Parkiya Bhav. But we are not going to go into those details because that's too much for today, considering I have so much in my heart to share with all of you, and time may be of the essence. So we find that some of the Manjuris who are slightly younger than these gopis and Radharani, one of the most foremost Manjuri, or the foremost younger gopi, is known as Rupa Manjuri or Rup Goswami. She is 13 months and 6 13 years and 6 months. Sanatan Goswami, who is the elder brother of Rupa Goswami, is known as Lavanga Manjari. And they are the foremost Manjuris who serve Srimati Radharani under the guidance of Lalita and Vishakha. And she is older by 1 day to Rup Manjari. 13 years, 6 months, and 1 day. So slightly younger than most of the, about a year younger than most of the gopis, younger than Srimati Radharani. Then Raghunath Das Goswami, he is also known as Rati Manjari, also known as Rasa Manjari, and also known as Tulsi Manjari, depending on how he is addressed. But these are the 3 different names. And he is 13 months and 13 years and 2 months old. Then we have Jiva Goswami, who is Vilas Manjari, who is much younger, 12 years, 11 months, and 26 days. Then we have other Manjaris like Narottam Das Thakur, who is Champaklata Manjari, Loknath Goswami, who is Manjulali Manjari, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, who is Kasturi Manjari. So all these are mentioned in Narottam Das Thakur's bhajans, especially if we find most of these names are mentioned in the Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More bhajan. So we can see that there is a very deep connection of these. And these Manjaris are, if you allow me, my dear devotees, their service is even more overextended than the gopis, like the Ashtasakis. There are times when Radha and Krishna are performing very intimate pastimes, when the gopis, they leave them alone, but they still need service. They still need service, like Radharani may need some milk, Krishna may need some milk or some camphor and some tambul, and they may need some mouth refreshers, and they may need, it might be a little hot day, and they may need the chamar, or they may need the mayur pankha, or the peacock feather, and other services. But when the Manjaris are present, Radha and Krishna's Leela, especially the intimate association that they have, is not broken, meaning the Leela is not interrupted. But when the other gopis, when the Ashtasakis and the other elder the gopis that are almost the age of Radharani or higher in age, when they are present, then they feel shy. So sometimes Radha and Krishna in a very romantic mood, sometimes they are actually having a transcendental fight where Radharani goes into what is known as Man. I will try to cover the different delineations of Prema as well, so that we can understand the position of Srimati Radharani in a little bit. But before I do that, I would like to kind of, throw some more light. So our acharyas are also, like, for example, all these acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vidya Bhushan Ji, then Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, we know that he is known as Kamla Manjari. And Srila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj is also, it is said that he is also known as Guna Manjari. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our divine Gurudev of Srila Prabhupada, he is known as Nayana Manjari. So these are very, very special positions. And our Srila Prabhupada's position was not revealed. Somebody had asked Srila Prabhupada, we know who your Guru Maharaj is, we know who Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is, we know who Rup Goswami is, we know who the 6 Goswamis are in the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So Prabhupada, can you tell us who you are? Can you reveal? So Prabhupada said, he simply laughed and smiled and said, if I tell you who I am, you will faint. So Prabhupada, definitely we can find that he is so close to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that we can see a connection, that in Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra we find that the words that are used are, and by the way, for most of you all may probably know or not know, Srila Prabhupada composed his own Pranam Mantra. That is very interesting. Generally, there are very exalted Vaishnavas who compose the Pranam Mantra of another Vaishnava. But according to time, place, and circumstances, there was nobody to do that. So Srila Prabhupada, inspired, by Radha Krishna himself, he composed his own Pranam Mantra, the Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale. So in that Pranam Mantra, we find that Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. We also find the words Srimate. So the word Srimate in Sanskrit has many different meanings. Shri also means Srimati Radharani. And the consciousness of a Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya Acharya or a devotee is Radha Dasyam, or the service of Sri Radha is considered the utmost. So therefore Srimate. So we find that. we were fortunate about 4 years ago, we had given a seminar in Sri Vrindavan Dham in Kartik about Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra that lasted a good 2 days. And we were blessed by many Srila Prabhupada disciples because they found so many things that they had never heard before. And this was based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, the connections on each and every word in Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra. But here, nevertheless, the connection is that Srila Prabhupada is definitely he is present in more than one of the rasas of Sri Krishna, including the Manjuri rasa, including he is one of the gopis, because we can find that he is Namaste Saraswate Devi. Now, most of us sometimes make this error of saying that Namaste Saraswati Devi. No, it is when Saraswate, meaning the transcendental initiated son of Saraswati Thakur, meaning Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Like the son of Vasudev is Vasudev, Krishna, right? So similarly, the transcendental son of Saraswati Thakur is Saraswati. So we find that he is very dear to Saraswati Thakur. And Saraswati Thakur is actually in his Pranam Mantra, we find, it's a very long Pranam Mantra, Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Vrishta Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Sri Varsha Bhanvi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye. So the next line is Sri Varsha Bhanvi Devi Daitaya. When he was initiated by Srila Gaurkishore Babaji Maharaj from Bimla Prasad, his name became Sri Varsha Bhanvi Devi Daitaya Das. Just like our names have Das and Dasis. Like my name is given by my Guru Maharaj is Satchitananda Das. So the name, the initiated name that was given to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur prior to taking sannyas in his initiation, he was known as Varsha Bhanvi Devi Daitaya Das. Long name. So what does it mean? So here we see there is a connection. Varsha Bhanvi Devi is Srimati Radharani. And Daitaya means very dear. A very dear servant of Srimati Radharani. And Rup Goswami is extremely dear. And if you look at the connection, especially when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur left his body in 1936, January 1, early morning in the Brahma Muhurat, he asked for one of Srila Prabhupada's senior god brothers, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, to sing for him his favorite bhajan. And what was that bhajan? Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Shei Mora Bhajana, Shei Mora Pujana, Shei Mora, etc. So just hearing the glories of Rupa Manjari, that shows that the Nayana Manjari is very close, and A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada is very close to Nayana Manjari. So we can very easily deduce, without any kind of speculation, that Srila Prabhupada did not reveal his identity, but definitely he's very, very, indeed one of those very much in that Madhurya Rasa Bhav, serving the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani under the guidance of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Nayana Manjari, under the guidance of Kamla Manjari, under the guidance of Rup Manjari, under the guidance of Labanga Manjari, etc. So like this, on this particular occasion, we all sing these two wonderful songs, and then there are so many wonderful, great devotees. Even Lord Shiva has glorified Radharani in the Urdhva Manmaya Tantra, the Urdhva Manmaya Tantra, where he is actually speaking the glories of Radharani to Srimati, to Parvati Devi. And in that, there are 8 verses. So most of them, you all may be familiar. The last line is Kada Karishya Siha Mam Kripa Kataksha Bhajama Munindra Vrinda Vandite Triloka Shoka Harini Prasanna Vaktra Pankaje Nikunja Bhu Vilasini Rajendra Bhanun Nandini Vrajendra Sunu Sangini Kada Karishya Siha Mam Kripa Kataksha Bhajamam. So like that, Lord Shiva himself has composed, and he is saying, oh, you are adored by all the best stages, oh Radharani. Oh, one who takes away all the miseries of the in the material world. Oh, whose face is joyfully blossoming, just like a lotus flower. Oh, Radharani, you are the delight, and the playing, and when you're playing the sports throughout the secret forest in Vrindavan, in the bowers. Oh, you are the most charming daughter of King Vrishabhanu, the best of kings. Oh, closest heartfelt companion of the son of King of Raj. The son of King of Raj is Nandan Nandan, and the King of Raj is Nanda Maharaj. When, O Radharani, when will you make me the object of your sidelong glances? So, like this, in every line in this Ashtakam, Lord Shiva is praying, when, my dear Radharani, when will you make me the object of your sidelong glances? When will you bestow your mercy on me? So this is something that one should sing those songs. In Vrindavan, in Vraj, everybody has these songs mostly by heart, and following in the footsteps of these great acharyas, dharmasya tattva nihitam guhyam mahajana jena gatha sapantaha. So this is the instruction of the Shastra, that to actually understand pure dharma or pure bhakti, we have to follow in the footsteps of the pure devotees, of the acharyas. So Rupa Goswami has composed everybody knows this in ISKCON, Radhe Jai Jai Madhav Daite. So what does it mean? Quickly, I will touch upon some of the important, maybe perhaps the important words here. Madhav Daite. Madhav Daite means one who is very, very dear to Madhav. Krishna is known as Madhava, one of the names of Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is so crazy after Radharani that it is mentioned in the Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi. Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi was composed by Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, who is none other than an incarnation of one of the Ashtasakis known as Tunga Vidya Saki. And we find that behind the Kalya Daman on the Vrindavan Parikrama Marg, right behind that tree where Krishna had jumped into the Jamuna, behind that we find it's a very not much visited place, but the Samadhi of Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur is there. So next time when you get a chance to go to Vrindavan, very exalted Vaishnava, somebody who was actually favored by Mahaprabhu himself. And he actually composed some of the most wonderful books, very rasik, on very, very books of higher mellows, that Vrindavan Mahima Amrita, glories of Vrindavan Dham. And he has also composed one of the most famous works that great devotees study, is the Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi. If you translate that from Sanskrit into English, means the nectar of ocean of Srimati Radharani, because Radharani is indeed a nectar of ocean. So in one of the verses, he mentions that Yasya Kadapi Vasana Anchala Khelana Uttha Dhanyati Dhanya Pavena Kruthartha Mani Yogendra Durgama Gatir Madhusudano Apitasya Namastu Vrishabhanu Bhuvae Dishayashi. This is an amazing verse, and if we actually understand the meaning of it, this will really make us understand. We'll get perhaps a little glimpse. Prabhuji, if you can stop because it is kind of distracting me, I would appreciate that. Do not send any messages, because I have a thought flow that is kind of being interrupted if that keeps popping. My humble request to you, Prabhu. Thank you. Your feedback is certainly appreciated, and perhaps we will get an opportunity to open up the microphone at the end. But it is my misfortune that I get distracted very quickly. So please forgive me. Hare Krishna. So here, Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad is saying, I offer obeisances unto who? Unto the direction. Like we have the directions east, west, north, south, right? So I'm offering my obeisances to that direction that faces the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, that faces Srimati Radharani. And when the breeze is flowing, it's blowing from that direction, it playfully moves the edge of her garment, her upper garment. And when Lord Krishna, who cannot be even attained by even the king of the yogis, Brahma Samhita Pantastu Koti Satvatsara Sampragamyo Vayo Rathapi Manaso Munipungavanam Soapi Yasti Yat Prapadasimni Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Even after drilling the respiration, the yogis sitting in yoga posture and drilling the respiration for thousands of years, they cannot even get the darshan of the lotus feet or even the nail or the light that emanates from the toenail of Sri Krishna. So here he's saying, the great Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur Pad, that even Lord Krishna cannot be attained even by the king of the yogis. Thinks that his life has now become a great success just because that air bringing the fragrance from Srimati Radharani has touched her, and he's offering the obeisances to the direction that has brought that fragrance. So that is how much Srimati Radharani is revered by the Gaudiya Acharyas, and especially by Sri Krishna himself. There's a wonderful another verse by Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad in the Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi. He says, Venum karam nipatam skalitam Shikhandam brahasdancha pita vasanam Vrajaraja suno yasya kadaksha Saragata vimura chittasya tam radhikam paricha rami kadarasena. He's saying the meaning of this verse is, when will I delight in the service of Srimati Radharani? Struck by the arrow of her sidelong glasses. This is the same thing that Lord Shiva is saying, Kada Karishya Siha Mam Kripa Kataksha Bhajamam. Kripa Kataksha, the sidelong glances of Srimati Radharani. So Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur is also praying, so when will I delight in the service? When she will give me the opportunity to serve her? Struck by the arrow of her sidelong glances, Sri Krishna faints. Whenever Srimati Radharani raises her eyebrow in a certain posture, then Krishna kind of faints. His flute, his hands start shivering and his flute falls from his hands. His peacock feathers on his head become loosened and his scarf slips from his neck. This is Shikhanda Brasdancha Pita Vasanam. His peacock feather, the Shikhandam, the peacock feather falls off, and his Pita Vasanam, the golden colored, the Uttariya that he has, it simply slips off from his neck. So that is the power of Srimati Radharani. And then even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially when he was in the last 12 years in the Gambhira, he relished those great wonderful pastimes that actually Sarup Damodar and Vishakha Sati, who are none other, who are none other than Lalita and Vishakha. Sarup Damodarji is Lalita Sakhi, and Rai Ramananji is Vishakha Sakhi. So they basically Radha Krishna, because Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna Eka Tanu hai, Nidhuman Vaje, Mamshi Bajaye. Radha Krishna are one as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the internal relishing of the internal pastimes were most relished by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the last 12 years behind closed doors in the Gambhira, in Jagannath Puri. By the way, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a particular purpose, and in the entire Chaitanya Sistastakam, when we read the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Antya Leela, the last chapter is the 20th chapter, which is the Chaitanya Sistastakam. And we see that the entire Chaitanya Sistastakam is revolving around not only basically the first couple verses about the glorification of the holy name and the sadhana or for the practicing devotee, but that itself is so high. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, that even Krishna Nandan as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting it intensely, so that he has a prayojan, he has a goal, and his goal was to obtain the Radha Bhav. His goal was to obtain that Radha Bhav, because the external reason when he came here was to distribute the holy name, but the internal reasons were three in nature. What were those three? The internal reasons that shows the glories of Srimati Radharani. The three reasons, as explained, that by Rup Goswami, is Anarpata Chiram Chirada Karunaya Utirino Kalau Samarpayatim Unato Jwala Rasam. The words that are used are Unato Ujwala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam. Hari Purata Sundara Dyuti Kadamba Sandhi Pita Sa Rudaya Kandare Sfurate Vasachi Nandana. Meaning resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. Nandan took the golden avatar and he appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service, and the mood that is displayed by the gopis of Raj in the Madhuri Rasa. May that Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. And then also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse has been described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, that Radharani's glory, Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vana Yaivas Aswadyo Yena Bhutan Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadya Sokyam Chasya Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Veti Lobhat Tad Bhavadya Samajani Sachi Garbha Sindhu Harindu. These are the three internal reasons that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami reveals, that first of all, Mahima Aswadyo. He wanted to understand and spread the glories of Srimati Radharani. Then he wanted Yena Adbhuta Madhurima. Adbhut means the most fascinating, the most amazing, the wonderful qualities of Srimati Radharani, that actually he alone wanted how she's relishing the beauty of Krishna. So to taste his own beauty, to his own wonderful qualities, he wanted to get the mood of Radharani. The second reason. And the third reason why Krishna wanted to get that mood of Srimati Radharani is basically Sokyam Chasya, meaning the happiness. Sokyam means the bliss that Radharani obtained when she is in the association of Nandanandan. When she's in his own association, she realizes the sweetness of his love, and which is endowed with her emotions, appears from the moon of Sachi Devi as the moon appears from the ocean. So this is so important to understand, that even Krishna could not have that kind of nectar as Srimati Radharani has, and therefore he had to take the form of Mahaprabhu. That is the internal reason and the main reason why Mahaprabhu appeared. And that is the reason why in the Gambhira he chanted the Mahamantra eventually to obtain, as we find in the 7th and 8th verse of the Sistastakam, that he finally obtains the mood of Srimati Radharani. And that is the reason why he concludes that Ashlisha Pada Ratam Pinashtumam Darshanam Marma Harto Karotua Yatha Tathava Vidato Lampato Mat Prananatha Sevanapara. Just like Radharani and the gopis tell Krishna, you have the right, you are a transcendental debauchee, you can treat us as you wish. And that kind of humility and that kind of treatment, to accept that treatment, is so great that Krishna himself falls at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani many a time, and the gopis, and tells them in the 10th canto, we find that in the 32nd chapter, that let your own glories, I cannot compensate you. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that ye yatha mam prapadyante tamsa tathaiva bhajamiham. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita, according to one's worship me, I reciprocate according to that. But here Krishna fails. That verse of Bhagavad Gita fails here. He says, I cannot reciprocate with you, gopis, especially Radharani. I cannot reciprocate with you. I can give anything else to different devotees. I can give them liberation. I can give them so many things. But there is no way I can pay you back. Let your own glories be this compensation. What a beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that let your own glories be your compensation. I am personally unable to give you any kind of compensation. So like this, we find this wonderful compositions. He's saying that Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe, Hari Nishkuta Vrindavana Vipineshe, you dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's attachment to you. So Lord Damodar is always attached to you. And Damodar means there are two meanings of the word Damodar, or two consciousness. Damodar is, we all know that when Krishna was tied by Mother Yashoda to the grinding mortar, from that day on he was known as Damodar. But Damodar is also known in the Madhurya Rasa, or in the 5th Rasa, the conjugal love, because he is also Krishna when he is not on time, and when he's supposed to have the rendezvous with Srimati Radharani in a particular place, he is late or he doesn't show up. The next time he shows up, he is punished by the gopis, by Lalita, Vishakha, Radharani tells her, time up to that tamal tree. So Krishna is bound by the gopis' garments, the upper garment, and they tie a knot to that tree. So that means that is also Damodar. Dam means a rope, something that you tie, and Udar means his stomach. So it is not that only Mother Yashoda tied Sri Krishna. Even the gopis tried Krishna. Radharani tied Krishna many a time, punishing him, and therefore he is also known as Damodar by Rupa Goswami. Because here we find the word Damodar is in the Madhurya Rasa. It is not in the Vatsalya Rasa. It is not in the parental consciousness, but it is in the consciousness of the gopis of Vraja. The Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe. She increases the bliss of Krishna by dressing up very nicely. And like this, he is controlled completely by Srimati Radharani. Vardhana Veshe. Vardhan means to increase. Govardhan, we see that we use this word. Go means cows. Go means gopis. Go means Gokul. Go means the conglomeration of devotees. Vardhan means one who increases their bliss, or one who increases their bhakti. That is known as Govardhan. So again, certain words as they come in, as I'm able to. And Hari Nishkut means the pleasure grove of Krishna's heart. Vrinda Vipinesha. Hari refers to Krishna who steals everybody's heart. So even the word Hare in the Mahamantra, I don't have time. Actually speaking, we just finished 22 weeks of the Chaitanya Sistastakam in our Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad group. And we have certainly gone into detail of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Sometimes some people may ask that why Radharani's name is not there in the Mahamantra. Some people ask why Radharani's name is not in there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not very obvious. Yes, it is not very obvious. Why? Because it is very confidential. This Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya Rasa is of the highest confidential nature. It is not meant for each and everybody's ears, because we have to first qualify ourselves. When we perform our sadhana bhakti very nicely, as under the instructions of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada and his sincere followers, when we follow the 4 regulative principles very strictly, we chant minimum 16 good rounds. Prabhupada said not 16 rounds, but 16 good rounds, without committing offenses slowly and slowly. What will happen? Then we will enter into the next stage of bhakti known as Raganuga Bhakti. Just like we sing every morning in the Guru Puja, Chakshudana Dilojai Janme Janme Prabhu Sei Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. That Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito means that Srila Prabhupada, although he may not be present physically in Vapu, but our acharyas like Rupa Goswami, our acharyas like Sanatan Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the entire acharyas, they will impart Chakshudana Dilojai Janme Janme Prabhu Sei Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. We will be so qualified to receive that instruction. And whenever we read the purports of Bhagavatam, we read Prabhupada's purports, we will get newer and newer different understandings and higher understandings. Srila Prabhupada's books has everything in it, but sometimes, it depends on who's reading them. It's the same verse, the same purport, the same translation, but depending on the maturity of the devotee, we get Navarasa, we get newer and newer insights in it. So similarly, the word Radharani's name, why aren't we chanting Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe? No, because Radharani is Karuna Kurmai, Karuna Bharite. She is so full of compassion. If we examine Radharani's nature, and if we examine Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's nature, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Radharani's Swabhav, Radharani's nature, and it is full of compassion. So that full of compassion never wants something for themselves. If for example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he only composed the Chaitanya Sistastakam. He did not compose any Shastras. He did not compose any bhajans. He left it for the glories of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prithvicha Adi Nagar Adi Gram Sarvatra Hoibe Mor Nam Prachar. In every town and village, my name will be spread. And the commander-in-chief was A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada. And Echaye Gosai Jar, Raje Koilavas, Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash, Anande Bolo Bhajo, Hari Sri Vrindavan, Sri Guru Padma Pada Padma, Sri Guru Padma Padma Koriya Smaran. Narottam Das Thakur in one of the other bhajans is saying that Echaye Gosai Jar, when the 6 Goswamis, they lived in Vrindavan. E chhe Gosai jar Raje Koi Lavas Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash. The places that we are going today, when we are taking darshan, all the different Leela Stalis in Vrindavan, in Rajmandal, in the Chorasi coast, the 84, the entire Rajmandal, then it is by the mercy of the 6 Goswamis, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had sent them that, because of the Mughals, all these places have now been overtaken by forests and they have all become dilapidated and nobody can recognize them. You all go, I empower you. So then it is because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Vrindavan, he already had seen Radhakund and Shyamkund. That was at that time known as Aristragram. It was not known as Radhakund and Shyamkund, but he did not declare it at that time. He wanted Rup Sanatan, he wanted Bhugarga Goswami to go and reveal those places. Similarly, Srimati Radharani always wants to take a back step. Like, for example, yesterday was Lalita Sasti. Radharani actually got Lalita Sakhi and Krishna married. So there is a nice temple, Radha Lalita Bihari temple in Uchchagaon, not too far from Barsana and Nandagram. And Radharani was the one who pulled Lalita Sakhi's hand and gave it in the hand of Krishna. You get married to him. So she always wants to take a backseat. Therefore, she doesn't want her name. Although the word Hara, the highest, Hara means the internal potencies of Sri Krishna. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija. The word Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses Nija Sarva Shaktis. That Nija Sarva Shaktis, as per the understanding of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, is Srimati Radharani along with her entourage of all the gopis and the Manjuris. That also includes our Gaudiya Acharyas, Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and all the way down to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because that is the word Hara. So that is why she wants everybody to glorify all of her associates. And then finally, she is present in it in a very, very chhana roop, in a very, very secret way in the word Hara. And that is why Srila Prabhupada has also revealed that we are actually directly praying. We're praying for Radharani's mercy. We're praying to Krishna, please engage me in your service. But we can never pray to Krishna and Radha directly. We have to go through the pure devotees, to go through the associates of Radha Krishna. And that is why the word Hara is, the moment we chant Hare, we are actually addressing the entire intimate associates of Srimati Radharani and herself, and of course Sri Krishna. So like this, we all know, and even the qualities of Srimati Radharani are so amazing. They are all, Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they are known as the Rasik Acharyas, and they are actually associates of Srimati Radharani. So they know what Radharani looks like, what she likes, what is her. In Rupa Goswami, in Sanatan Goswami's first Astakam, the Radhika Astakam, we sang, Sanatan Goswami describes the beauty of Srimati Radharani. The Srimati Radhika's face makes the full moon of the Sharat. The Sharat means the autumn season. Like we have the Sharat Purnima. So even that moon is put to shame because it is so beautiful, the moon on the autumn night on Sharat Purnima. And multitudes of flowers adorn her beautifully braided hair. She is dressed in a blue sari. Why blue? Because Krishna is bluish in color. And the upper part of her body is covered with a veil. I worship the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. And then further he describes the dot or the sindur, the dot that is there on Srimati Radhika's face, on the forehead of Srimati Radhika, defeats the redness of the early morning sun. So when we see when the sun is rising just on the horizon, it is so beautiful and it is reddish, but the reddish bindi that is there on Radharani's forehead, it puts even to shame the early morning sun's color. The fragrance of the lotus from her body causes the bumblebees to go wild and fly around her, because bumblebees are always crazy behind some very wonderful fragrant flowers, and Radharani is like a very, very uncommon, most beautiful fragrant rose-like fragrance. And the gesture of her eyebrows, again we are talking about, Sanatan Goswami is talking about the gesture of her eyebrows. They defeat the pride of millions of cupids. I worship the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. Her eyes, which move like the Kanjan bird, Kanchan bird is a very restless bird. Their eyes keep moving, like even more restless than a dove. They are anointed with mascara, the eyes of Radharani. And from the corner of her eye, she shoots her beautiful glances, like the Cupid shoots arrows. Her beautiful nose, the beauty of her nose is described by Sanatana Goswami as like that of sesame flowers. And from it, from her nose ring, her nose ring swings very beautifully, just like Satyavrat Muni in the Damodarashtakam, Namami Ishwaram, Satchitananda Rupam, Lasata Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam, Lasata Kundalam, the earrings of Krishna frolicking. But here, Sanatana Goswami is describing the beauty, each and every wonderful features of Radharani's lotus face by going to even to the glorifying the beautiful swinging nose ring of Radharani. So therefore, he is wonderfully. I offer my obeisances to the Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. Her lips are more reddish than a bimba fruit tree. Reminds us of something. Same color lips of Sri Krishna in the 5th verse of the Damodarashtakam. What is that verse? In the 5th verse, that Rakta Bimba Rakta Dharam me, the lotus lips of Krishna or that of are so beautiful, just like the reddishness of the bimba tree. And similarly, Radharani, and her teeth are as beautiful set as the seeds of pomegranates. In another bhajan also, the Krishna's teeth are also described in the Nandanandan Ashtakam by Sanatana Goswami. They're also beautifully set like pomegranates, like the white pomegranate seeds. And her voice is more melodious than of the cuckoo bird. I worship the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. I will just take a few more minutes and then I will end. I know we started a little late, so devotees, please forgive me. I just want to touch upon the translation of Sanatana Goswami's glorification of Srimati Radharani. Her cheeks are blossoming gracefully with a golden complexion. Her jeweled ankle bells tied to her feet sway freely. Her long hair and necklace of pears lie on her breast. I worship Srimati Radharani, Sri Radhika, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. The beauty of her cheeks defeats the beauty of a golden mirror. See, different comparisons are made. She wears jeweled ankle bells and her earrings swing beautifully. Her slender fingers are decorated with jewel-studded rings. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. She moves more majestically than the king of elephants. So also in the Nandanandan Ashtakam, the movement of Krishna is also described like that of a maddened elephant. And here also Radharani's gait, G-A-I-T, is described as majestically like that of the king of elephants. A golden girdle shines beautifully around a slender waist, and the small golden bells in them tinkle sweetly. Her thighs are smooth and slender like an uprooted trunk of a golden banana tree. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. So this is very, very detailed and intimate description. Only a Sakhi, only somebody who is in a particular seva known as Shringar Ras. Sanatana Goswami or Lavanga Manjari, under the instruction of Vishaka Sakhi and Lalita and Rupa Manjari, they are actually in Govind Lila Amrit. Krishnaraj Kaviraj mentions about the different times of the day, what is known as the Ashtakaliya Leela, and how Radha and Krishna perform their pastimes. And even when they go home, how Radharani is being decorated by the different maidservants or the gopis, and even in the presence of Krishna when they are meeting in the bowers of Vrindavan. So here we can see that such detail. We find that in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Mangal Arti that we sing every day. What is that verse that we find? In that verse we find that the Chaturvidasi, no, before that verse, the verse before that is Mahaprabhu Kirtan Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyan Manaso Rasena Romancha Kampa Shrutaranga Bhajo Vande Grosri Charnaravindam. And in the following verse, he says, Sri Vigra Aradna Nityanana Shringara Tan Mandir Marjanado Yuktascha bhaktam niyunjatopi vande guru Sri Charnaravindam. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, I offer my obeisances unto all those gurus. The word is not guru. A lot of us kind of mispronounce. We say Vande Guru Sri Charnaravindam. No, it is Vande Guroho. Guroho means plural. So it is directed towards all the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. And all these Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas are in the intimate service of Srimati Radharani as little gopis. And when they are in the service of Srimati Radharani, they know each and every part of Srimati Radharani's transcendental body. The nose, what kind of nose ring, the mascara that she wears on her eyes, the bindi on her forehead, the cheeks, and even the description of her lotus feet and her lotus thighs, what they look like. And this is not for the mundane person who is lusty in nature, but because it is a part of the bhajan, I am kind of compelled to mention that Sanatana Goswami is somebody who is very intimate, who is a part of the Sringar Ras. Sri Vigra Aradhana Nitya. So Srila Prabhupada or the Acharya teaches us how to decorate the deities. That is what Srila Prabhupada taught when he came. Nobody knew how to even dress the deities. Nobody knew even how to put on tilak. Nobody knew how to even put on dhoti. But Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, taught everything. Srila Prabhupada always used to pray that when he went, I remember one incident in San Francisco, New Jagannath Puri, Prabhupada had to go after the Rath Yatra, the deities were established. So then he prayed to Lord Jagannath, my dear Lord Jagannath, please forgive these boys and girls. They may not be up to the highest standard of worship, but please accept their seva. So Prabhupada taught meticulously Sri Vigra Aradhana, how to Sringaras. So here, this entire bhajan or this composition is about Sringaras, of how to decorate Radharani and the beauty of Srimati Radharani. And then in the last verse, he is mentioning the Ashtakam, meaning 8 verses. Her movement is more graceful than of a swan. A swan, we have seen a swan swimming in the lake. We find some nice, beautiful swans when we go to New Vrindavan in the Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. That's so beautiful. Her movement is more graceful than of a swan's, and her jeweled ankle bells adorn her feet. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radharani, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. And I will take just a couple more minutes. Without that, I think I have so many things to say, but actually an hour is just not sufficient to glorify even a little iota of Srimati Radharani. But one thing that we have to understand, again, coming back to our bhav, our consciousness, at the end of the day, when we graduate and postgraduate in Srila Prabhupada's movement, this is where we will end up. This is the bhav that we will get. Like Narottam Das Thakur says in one of his bhajan, Radha Krishna Pranamura Jugala Kishora. In there he says, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasa Anudas Seva Adhikara Diye Narottam Das. Those who are the servants and the servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please give me an opportunity to serve. So the servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are servants of Srimati Radhika. And that is where we need to qualify. Once we are pakka, perfect in our sadhana, then that Chakshudana Dilojai Janme Janme Prabhu say, that Divya Gyan, Ragatmika Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti will be revealed to us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his bhajans, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written many compositions in that in many different books, Sharanagati, Gitavali, in one book known as Geetmala. Thakur Bhaktivinoda has composed an amazing bhajan in the consciousness of Siddhi Lalsa. Siddhi means the highest perfection, and Lalsa means the desire. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda, in that one bhajan, we can see the insight. And then once this is done, I think I will open up, if the authorities in Iskcon Ottawa think that it is appropriate, we can open up the session. It's a special session today, just like Janmashtami, a little bit extended. So I hope devotees are able to bear with me. So in one of his bhajan, he says, Dekhite, dekhite, bhulibo vakabe, nijasthula porichoya, nayane heribo, brajapura shobha, nityachid ananda moya, vrishabhanu pure, janama loibo, yavate viva hobe, brajagopi bhava, hoibe swabhav anya bhav narahivo. He's saying that dekhite bhulibo va kabe nija sthula parichoy. When will I forget this bodily concept? We are all in this bodily concept. More or less, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is talking about us. But then in the Siddhi Lalsa, he says, Nayane heribo Brajapura Shobha. And when will I get this opportunity to appreciate Vraj Mandal, to appreciate Vrindavan? And Nayane heribo, with my own eyes, when will I be able to do that? Nitya Chit Anandamoy. When will I be in the transcendental bliss? And then further in his Siddhi Lalsa, in his perfection, the desire that he says, if I have to be born, Brishabhanu pure janama hoi loibo. If I have to be born again, please, my desire is to be born in Barsana. Brishabhanu pure means Barsana. Janama loibo. I would like to be born there. Why? And then he's also explaining, and then when I grow up, I will get married. So of course, he is in the Manjuri bhav, a young gopi. So he's thinking that Yavate viva hoy. So when Radharani got married to Abhimanyu, who is none other than a reflection of Krishna, a shadow of Krishna, our acharyas explain. And that is the reason why, due to the marriage, most of the gopis were married. That is why they had the Parkiyaras. Even Govindas in his last Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan, he says, Jaya Jaya Sarva Rasasar Parkiya Bhave Jaha Vrajeta Prachar. So that Parkiyaras, meaning having an affair out of wedlock, that is considered abominable in the society. But that Parkiyaras is so amazing that it is the highest pinnacle of surrender, which Krishna says in a very way, in a simple way in Sarva Dharman Parityaja Shloka. But there he has used this one particular Maam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Rasik Acharyas have translated the word Raja means to go in the simple language, but Raja also means Golok Vrindavan, the bhav of Golok Vrindavan. And especially in the Gaudiya bhav, it is the bhav of the Madhurya Rasa, the mellow of conjugal bhav. So that kind of surrender we should have. That is the kind of surrender that not worrying about the family, not worrying about the husband, not worrying about the mother-in-law, not worrying about all that. Simply when Krishna is calling, drop everything and leave. So in my desire, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Radharani is eventually going to get married in Yavat. Yavat is a small village. If you go to, when you do go for Vrajmandal Parikrama, you will see, you will go through Yavat. And there she's married. So even I would like to get married in that village. So that way I will be very close to Radharani and serve her. This is the bhav. That is called Radha Dasyam. He says in this bhajan, Nija Siddha Deha, Nija Siddha Naam, Nija Rupa Swa Vasana, Radha Kripa Bale, Loibe Va Kabe, Krishna Prema Prakarana. Nija Siddha Deha, I will get my most perfected body as a Manjari. Nija Siddha Naam, I will get my name. Of course, his name is Kamla Manjari. Nija Rupa, I will get a very special form. Swavasana, and I will get special uniform or clothing. All the different gopis have different colors of clothing, and I will get that like that. So like this different services, etc. He's saying that I would, this is my Siddhi Lasa. Jamuna Salile Aharana Giya, when I will go to fill the water on the banks of the Jamuna with a pot, Bujiva Jugalaras, then I will understand the conjugal love, Jugala Rasa. Prema Mugdha Hoye Pagalina Prayan, I will go crazy. I will be so much enamored by the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. Gaibo Radhara Yasha. The last line, especially in this Siddhi Lal, says Gaibo Radhara Yasha. He doesn't say Gaibo Radha Krishna Yasha. So here is full allegiance to Srimati Radharani. Now this is our bhav. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada had once mentioned in his Vraj Mandal Parikrama that Thakur Bhaktivinoda desired to build a hut in Kurukshetra. So at that time, some of the disciples said that we wanted to hear again and again what our Guru Maharaj said to build a hut. My father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, wants to build a hut in Kurukshetra. We thought we had misheard. Some of Prabhupada God brothers quote that. But no, one of them, he says that I am a very keen listener. I heard correctly that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has a desire to build a hut a bhajan sthali in Kurukshetra. Why? Because that's where my Radharani needs the highest service. So one can ask, how does Radharani need the highest service in Kurukshetra? So when Krishna had left Vrindavan at the age of about 12 or 13, actually Nandanandan stays behind in the eternal Vrajvasi's hearts in the bhav form. But Vasudev Krishna, who had merged into Krishna at the time of birth in Gokul, he comes out, and Krishna Balaram are taken to Mathura. There they kill Kansa, and then they release their parents and their grandparents from the jail. And then due to the attack of Jarasan 18 times, all the Mathuravasis were troubled. So Krishna decided, why don't I instruct Vishwakarma to build a city, that will not be accessible to the father-in-law of Kamsa, Jarasan. So to keep the peace in Mathura, of the residents of Mathura, overnight he asked Vishwakarma to build Dwarka. And then they were all shifted to Dwarka. From that time onwards, Krishna, who was Mathuresh, he was called Dwarkadish. So during the time of a solar eclipse, all over the Bharatvarsh, all the devotees, all the people came in Kurukshetra. There is a little kunda, like we have Radha Kund, Shyam Kund. There is a kunda known as Ramrid Kund in Kurukshetra, and it is considered very, very auspicious to take a bath during the solar eclipse. So there from Dwarka, Krishna, Balram, Subhadra, the Pandavas and all the gurus and Kunti Mata and all of them, Rukmini Devi and all of them, they had come with their entourage, with their camps, and they had camped in Kurukshetra. And from here in Vraj, Nanda Baba, Yashoda Mai, the Gopis, the Gopas, and so many Vrajvasis came to take a dip in the Ramrit Kund. When they came face to face, Radharani was feeling so much separation when she saw Krishna. When she saw Krishna, she almost died. And at that time, because he is so close to me, there are so many wonderful verses that we will find in the Padyavali that describe this incidents by Rup Goswami. And at that time, Radharani cannot even embrace Krishna, because Krishna is now a great king. He is not that Vrajvasi Krishna with the peacock feather or with that flute. He is the king. He is the Kshatriya. But nevertheless, that separation is so far, so close, but yet so far. And at that time, Radharani almost gave up her life. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying at that time that I wish that when Radharani goes through those emotions, I want to be with her. Because just like in a wartime, it is described that when some of the commodities become extremely expensive, food, water, grains, people hoard them. We just experienced that during the COVID time, that we couldn't even find the basic essentials for hygiene, toilet paper, the hand sanitizers. People were paying 5 times, 10 times the prices. So similarly, when a friend in need is a friend indeed. So being a friend of Srimati Radharani, a very topmost servitor of Srimati Radharani, Kamala Manjari desires that Radharani is going to instantly give up her life, her breath. I need to be with her. Just like we find in our own personal experience, sometimes when we have a major catastrophe in our family, at that time, our most intimate family members are with us, the brother, the sister, and etc., the mother and the father, and all of them, they come and they kind of console us. And a lot of other people may not even come, even if they know. So she is in the most need at that hour, seeing Krishna in front of her, but she cannot embrace. She cannot see Vrindavan there. She cannot find the Jamuna. She cannot find those Kadamba trees. She cannot find that conducive environment of Vrindavan where she can freely engage herself in her conjugal pastimes with Krishna. And that is why she is heartbroken. Her heart is burning. And at that time, she's almost about to give up her life. And at that time, I would like to be her, to lend her my shoulder, to give her some consolation. So this is Radharani, my dear Prabhus and Matajis. We pray to her lotus feet for her blessings. That is why. And one more thing I mentioned, why she is not in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Who is speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by Sukdev Goswami. Sukdev Goswami is none other than the parrot of Srimati Radhika. So actually, Radhika is the guru. She is the guru of Rajmandal. She is known as Vrindavaneshwari. Actually, Vrinda Devi is Tulsi Devi, but Tulsi Devi has given her the title of queen. to Radharani as Vrindavaneshwari. So there she is the guru of everyone. And at that time, when the parrot, the Sarika, the parrot is watching all the different pastimes and how Radhika is talking to Krishna and how she is being trained by Lalita and Vishakha in the different mellows of conjugal rasa. Then Radharani, that parrot has picked up everything, and for it is considered forbidden in the Vedic culture. What is forbidden in the Vedic culture? That one should not take the name of Guru. One should not show one's initiated beads. That is why we keep the initiated beads in a bead bag, not only to protect it from places in case if it falls or if some place may be by accident unclean, then our Tulsi beads should be protected. But one of the main reasons is once one is initiated, the initiated beads should not be displayed to anyone. The name of the guru or the name of the husband should not be spoken. So this is the original Vedic culture. So that is the reason Sukdev Goswami cannot take the name of Radhaji. And wherever there are indications, especially in the 10th canto, starting from the 22nd chapter, from the Venu Geet and all the way down to the Ras Leela, and then the Krishna's disappearance in the last Leela, and then the reunion in the Ras Leela, all those chapters up to chapter number 32, all those wonderful chapters of the Pancha Maharasa Adhyay, there the indication of Radhaji is very clear, but he has not spelt it out with the name Radha for that reason. And also, the moment Sukdev Goswami, if he would have uttered the word Radha or Radhe, he would have immediately gone into Samadhi. And there are many devotees who are like that. Some of the senior Vaishnavas who are present here, you all may have heard about Nitya Lila Pravishta, His Holiness Gaur Govind Maharaj Ji. He left his body probably about 2 decades ago in Bhubaneswar, on the holy land of Purushottam Kshetra. And he was an amazingly Rasik devotee of a very, very advanced in nature. And while he was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam and the words Radhika, when he was trying to explain something came, he at that time went into Samadhi and he never recovered. Even Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, sometimes when he was very controlled, very disciplined, but sometimes when the name of Radhika came, he could not control his transcendental emotions. Even our Srila Prabhupada, when he was chanting Jai Radha Madhav, for some of the senior Vaishnavas who have probably heard this pastime, Prabhupada would chant Jai Radha Madhav right before any Bhagavatam class or Bhagavad Gita class. And one time Srila Prabhupada went into ecstasy. He could not, his voice was choked just with the name Radha. His tears were flowing and the kirtan eventually stopped. Everybody was in shock. So this is the potency of Srimati Radharani. We are so fortunate, my dear devotees, that we have been given shelter in this highest school of theism, which eventually will culminate to Radha Dasyam, to the lotus feet of Radharani's service by the mercy of her wonderful associates. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So now if anybody has any, if that's okay with the host, Iskcon Ottawa, if you all want to open up the microphone for any questions or comments or any corrections, please feel free to do so. Or whatever the next part of your program is. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, first of all, we'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude for such an opulent and transcendental presentation on the auspicious festivity of Sri Radhashtami. Prabhuji, we would love to hear from you again soon. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time. So we would just have to invite you again soon, Prabhuji, to entertain all those questions and realizations. But I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome back our very dear, His Grace Guru Prasad Prabhu, who has returned back from New York. And I'd like to invite Prabhuji to perhaps say a few words. Prabhuji, please say a few words.
Hare Krishna, once again, I'm repeating what Sharad mentioned. He actually poured the shower such lecture upon us about Radharani's glories. It's actually a little too much because with our Kali Yuga memory, I don't know how much we can retain, but we definitely relished. On the specific thing, I actually elaborated some intricate, items of clarification, personally also relished. So thank you so very much for such a wonderful presentation on this auspicious occasion.
Thank you so much, Guru Prasad Prabhu and the devotees of ISKCON Ottawa to engage me on such a wonderful, auspicious occasion. I'm very happy to serve. Whenever you think I'm qualified enough to come again, it will be my pleasure. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I wish you wonderful Radhashtami celebration tomorrow.
Thank you.
We should consider the Adivas for Radhashtami celebration.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part? There was a
Wonderful Adivas for Radhashtami celebration.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, I don't know what your protocol is, but is there any, I know it's a little extended session, but if you all have the time and inclination, and if some devotees would like to participate by asking questions or comments, please feel free to
Prabhuji, I think for the benefits of time and the devotees here, it's getting a bit late. So
okay, I understand. Yeah, no problem, Prabhuji. So thank you very much. All glories to Srimati Radharani. All glories to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Hari Bolo Srimati Radharani ki. Srimati Radharani ki. Srimati Radharani ki. Vrishabhanu Nandini ki. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hare Krishna.
So thank you very much, dear devotees, for attending the program today. We'd just like to thank everybody for attending, and more importantly, there will be a Harinam tomorrow at 6 p.m. We would please invite you all to come and partake in the festivities of Sri Radhashtami through glorifying Sri Krishna's name. That's nothing more dear to Radharani than glorification of Sri Krishna. So we invite you to please come for that. And we'll end this session here. So thank you all to our online guests and to the devotees and whoever assembled here in the temple. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.